Dear chairs, dear audience, I would like to present you my thesis titled New Insights into the Accuracy of Fixed Dentures. Many restorations still exhibit variability in accuracy, which can compromise their long-term success. It is essential to clarify whether chairside milling can match the accuracy of lab-side systems, especially with the rise of same-day dentistry. Our results show statistically significant but clinically not relevant differences, indicating that both workflows can achieve clinically acceptable accuracy. Therefore, we can say that chairside milling can be reliably used to fabricate the restorations, but future studies should compare more milling systems, materials and workflows, and also investigate how accuracy influences clinical outcomes. And policymakers should consider the adoption of validated digital workflows. My name is Mirjam Kisgergely, and I'm a PhD student and a resident at the Department of Prosthodontics at Semmelweis University. My vision is to provide longer-lasting dental restorations to patients, and my mission is to explore the ways to produce more accurate fixed dental prostheses. Currently, I have 2 ongoing projects, and my main goal is to compare different dental milling machines. The title of my first project is Comparing the Accuracy of Dental Milling Machines in Fabricating Fixed Dentures, which is a systematic review and meta-analysis. There was a study in 2007 in which they found that 94% of crowns had poor marginal fit, which is predisposing to failure. This means that 94% of these teeth restored with crowns are more prone to develop, for example, caries or periodontal diseases, which with time can lead to tooth loss and eventually even edentalism. When we want to make dental restorations, we always have to consider quite a few aspects, and one of the most important is accuracy. We always have to determine the appropriate dimensions of a prosthesis to be able to make long-lasting ones. And this clinically accepted accuracy is around 100 micrometers. So how can we make these crowns? In an annual report of 2013, we can see that 75 to 80% of crowns were still made manually, and only the rest were made by computer-aided production. The problem with this is that these handmade crowns mean a slower production. It is unrepeatable because the technician designs it by hand, which can lead to human risk factors such as inaccuracy. So what is our other option is the so-called computer-aided design and manufacturing, which ensures a faster production. It is repeatable because the data is stored on computers, and it is also accurate. And the CAD/CAM production can be divided into 2 subgroups. One is the in-lab, which means that we still have to send the works to the technicians, therefore it requires multiple dental appointments, but it is considered accurate. The other one is the so-called chairside system, which means that everything happens at the dental clinic, and it also allows us the concept of same-day dentistry. This means that patients come in and can leave on the same day with the final restoration. But in this case, the question arises whether this fast production can result in accurate restorations. Therefore, our aim is to compare the accuracy of dental milling machines in fabricating fixed dentures. Our clinical question is that how accurate the chairside milling machines are in fabricating fixed dentures, and we use the PICO framework, where our population was milled single-unit restorations. The intervention was different chairside milling machines, and we compared them to different lab-side ones, and our outcome is accuracy. And our hypothesis is that chairside milling machines can produce the fixed restorations as accurately as the lab-side machines. Here you can see the flowchart of our article selection. After the full text selection and the citation chasing, we've had 207 eligible papers in total. In this figure, we can see that marginal gap values decreased over time for both chairside and lab-side systems. By 2024, the predicted marginal gap values were approximately 49 micrometers for chairside systems and 84 micrometers for lab-side systems, both staying well within the clinically accepted threshold. But meta-regression showed that polymer-based materials and some less frequently investigated chairside milling systems were associated with significantly higher marginal gap values. Therefore, restoration accuracy appears to be influenced not only by the workflow itself, but also by material selection and the specific milling system used. For internal fit, we observed opposite trends. Chairside systems showed increasing internal fit values over time, while lap-side systems showed decreasing values, leading to a convergence in recent years. By 2024, the predicted internal fit values were approximately 130 micrometers for chairside systems and 125 micrometers for lap-side systems. Importantly, none of the investigated variables, such as material, milling system, restoration or tooth type, or the measurement technique had a significant effect on the internal fit value. Therefore, both workflows appear to achieve comparable internal adaptation. After the finalization of the manuscript, we were able to submit it to our target journal, the Journal of Dentistry. The title of my second project is Comparing the Accuracy of Dental Milling Machines in Fabricating Crowns, which is an in vitro study. During our everyday practice as dentists, when a patient comes in with a problem, we usually have to make temporary restorations before the final one. Why is that? Other dental treatments are sometimes needed, or aesthetic problems can occur if the front region is affected, or the chewing function needs to be restored. As I've mentioned previously, when we want to make these restorations digitally, we have two main ways, the chair-side and the lap-side systems. One of the most important factors is that the chair-side systems with the chair-side systems, we are able to get the restoration almost immediately, while for the lap-side one, we have to wait approximately a week. But the problem is that we do not know for sure whether this fast production or even the simpler software of the chair-side systems allow us to fabricate restorations that are the same as the original design, thus being accurate. Therefore, our aim is to observe the marginal and internal surface accuracy of the lap-side and chair-side milled restorations. And our clinical question is that how accurate the chair-side milling machine is in fabricating our crowns. So we can use the PICO framework where the population was milled crowns, and we used a chair-side milling machine, specifically the prime mill, and compared it to a lap-side one. And our outcome is accuracy. And we hypothesized that the chair-side milling machine can produce the crowns as accurately as the lap-side milling machine. And here you can see that the method of this study starts with the virtually designed restoration for an upper central incisor. We sent this data both to the chair-side and the lap-side machine and then milled it with each. After the fabrication, we've got these crowns you can see in the pictures. We used a scanner to digitize them, allowing us to compare the crowns to the original design. And this comparison is made by superimposing the two data. And here you can see our outcome, which is accuracy. It has two main components. One is trueness, which means that we project the STLs of the group's elements onto the reference one by one, and the program will give us the difference for each. And besides trueness, we also have precision, which includes measurements within a group. And as an evaluation, the program will give us values such as root mean square or average. So in summary, I have two ongoing projects. One has already been submitted, and I plan to submit the second one at the end of this summer. And at the end of my presentation, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Carl Sagan, that somewhere something incredible is waiting to be known. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you.
Can we go back for a second to your main findings about the internal fit in your first project? I have one question, because when it's about equivalence to some sort, as good as, I think we should also focus on the confidence interval of the estimation. So could you please tell us what the confidence interval of the differences mean and how they can be put into context of in clinical accuracy?
Yes, thank you for your question. Yes, in this figure, we can see quite a wide confidence interval. And it is probably because of all the variables that were included in our study, because we tried to investigate as many confounding factors as possible, but it quite elaborated our study because we couldn't even stick to all the original data. I mean, we had to make broader categories because, for example, for material selection in each of the papers, they usually specified what type of material they used. But then we couldn't really make statistics about it, so we had to make broader categories like ceramics, polymers, and metals. And this is why, because of all the variables that were included, the confidence intervals appear to be quite wide in most of our figures.
Okay, thank you very much. May I ask, sorry if I missed, what is the reference? I mean, what does that p-value stand for example, with other chair-side systems? So what is different from what? Sorry if I missed it.
Thank you for the question. Yes, so we had all these categories with variables, so we managed to use from each category one thing that we used as reference and compared the others to it. So for example, we used the ceramic as the reference material and compared the polymers and the metals to that. And each one staying, so for example, the covering restoration is compared to the intracoronal restoration and so on. So these were the references and all the rest were compared to them.
Thank you.
In clinical research, when we do systematic reviews and meta-analysis, we normally use core sets of outcomes that normally are widespread use all over research. However, this does not apply when we deal with in vitro studies. Because in vitro studies, mostly when we are dealing with trueness and precision, depend a lot on how you measure.
Yes.
So for example, if you do CT measurements, depends a lot on the machine, on how you have scanned the images, how is the software you evaluated. And some of these studies are also studies dealing with the industrial proponents of the machines they are selling and so on and so forth. So that does not diminish at all the value of your research. But I think you have to temper the conclusions.
Okay.
Because we do not have a core set of outcomes for in vitro research, mainly in what it relates to trueness
Yes.
and precision, which depends so much on how you measure.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, we faced this difficulty that even the reported data was really varied in all the studies. So some specified all brands and types and experienced personnel who made the measurements and so on, and then others didn't specify it. So we tried to collect as many data as possible, but yeah, it's really difficult.
Congratulations. My question goes on the clinical part, is that in these studies, in the internal fit, did you find any data regarding how it was set in the planning part for the cement thickness? Because that's a relevant factor, whether we go for a cementation with a material that's a thin one with 30 microns and you set the computer on 30, or whether you go PanAVF or something with 70 microns. It does really matter.
Yes, it really does matter, and we try to gather that information from all the articles that reported it as well. Cementation gap for all over, or even if they specified occlusally or axially, so we gathered this information, but it was quite scarce in the studies, and we've talked about it in case of the internal fit, and we've reached reached the conclusion that these, for example, for the chairside systems, this increasing value is connected to the fact that we want to achieve the fit of the restoration onto the crown. So maybe this tendency shows us that we select a higher cement gap when we design these restorations, and this is why this gap also became bigger and bigger in the investigated studies.
And in the lab part, was there any definition how the workflow was, like when the scanning was done, what type of stone models they were scanning? So, or did they scan impression maybe, or how it was done?
Usually it was reported what was scanned most of the time. So there were studies who didn't really report it. This is a quite difficult part because it's not really standardized. So it's really hard to compare these to each other. You're absolutely right.
This is my opinion. If I like to determine the exact trueness, for example, I have to use the real tools, and I have to create a crown or inlays, and after I set again back to the tooth surface, and after I can check the real trueness.
Yes, it is. We already had another in vitro study in which we used the triple scan protocol, and the results were more or less the same. But yeah, it's a more precise way. With this study, we just wanted to compare whether we can reach the original design, what we've made on the computer, or how far we are from it after the milling of the restorations. But yes, the seating of the restoration on the prepared tooth itself, it's much more important.
Yes, there's a lot of publication, and they like these techniques.
Yes.
But here will be a lot of mathematical process, and we like to compare the different mathematical process.
Yes.
My question is regarding your first project. Why do you only focus on single unit restorations?
Thank you for the question. It was basically because we wanted to reduce heterogeneity. So we have so many variables even now, and this was a way to reduce it and to focus on a more niche category. But it's also because we wanted to investigate chairside systems, which are most commonly used for single unit restorations. So this is basically the reason for that.
My question is regarding your second project. That why did you choose those two milling machines?
Thank you for the question. This company who produces these two milling machines are one of the oldest ones in this field, and it hasn't been. These two hasn't been compared during. I haven't found anything during the systematic search regarding the comparison of these two specific milling machines, and we wanted to compare two machines from the same company, which are really focused on chairside production. So this was our reason for that.